right?
it has
Can you
like
still?
30 seconds delay or something.
Okay.
Oh, we are live already. So
Yeah, okay.
hello, hello all.
I'm just going to. It's a delay. Hang on.
Yeah,
All
there is
right.
a
So
delay.
now
And now,
I'm on my news feed. What
so
do I do?
you go to my page and share in your page. That's it. I think we already have someone watching us.
I
So
go to your news feed and share it. Are you going to share it on my page? Hang on. No,
so
there's nothing on my page at the moment. Hang on. If I go to your page,
you from my page you share to
you
your
live and learn,
page.
do you? Yeah, that's right. Get you.
Mm,
You haven't blocked me, have you?
no. No, you just have to
Oh, there
share.
you are. I found you.
Hello, all joining.
Oh, there we are. Now let's share. Okay, I'm going to share.
Oh, I'll come back in a moment because
Okay.
I think my son is watching a video and I was asking him to stop and I'll telling him that my internet is the connection is unstable. Just give me a second, please.
Stable. Okay. All right, unstable. You wouldn't believe it, Anna, but one of my best friends on Facebook is a guy called Eddie, and he's in Belgium, yeah.
Oh,
And I was in a gift shop about 6 months ago, and those little statuettes, and this one caught my eye. This one here,
yeah,
it looks exactly like Eddie. It's exactly Eddie. Look, that's what he looks like.
yeah,
Can you believe it?
yeah,
Well, I have him here. It's like a voodoo doll. I do things to him.
yeah.
He doesn't know, but anyway,
It's amazing.
play tricks on him.
Yeah, so welcome all joining this now. And we already have That's Me, Pamela. Hello, that's me, Pamela. Pamela. And I'm very grateful to Gary for being here with me. And we are just having another chat with no subject. We are just flowing. And so let us know where are you watching from and if you have any subjects or questions or things that you would like us to talk about. We are here. This is a open conversation, a co-creation. And yeah, so I'm very grateful, Gary, for you being here with me.
Well, I'm always thinking like ahead in a way that I'm thinking. Oh, it's really good if you can touch on subjects that you don't normally talk about. That they're always good ones. I mean, like the ones you don't even think about actually. The ones that like just they're so in the back of your mind that you don't even access them. And sometimes when you stop and you're talking with the right person, sometimes it can trigger a thought of like a perspective on life. You know what I mean? That you don't normally think about too much. You know what I mean? Because maybe it's like um, you haven't explored it, so you tend not to think about it because there's nothing to think about because you haven't looked at it at all. And those types of subjects are the ones that really interest me because they're the ones that like help you expand your mind. You know what I mean? Like to like at the end of the day, like you're either growing or you're not, right? What's the alternative to growing? You're probably dying, right? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, there's only you talked about the flow before, Anna, and the first thing that comes to my mind is a river. And I say this to my sons all the time. Whenever there's a fork, like in the road or a fork in the river, there's usually only two ways to go. There's one way or the other way. When you get to a point, like a crossroads, there's often just one or the other way. You know what I mean? It's not like 10 different ways to go. There's often just two. And it's interesting because um, they've got the path of least resistance too, right? So it's really cool to go with the one that feels like you want to go down, and that's the one that That's the one that seems to be the one that flows and the one that brings up the most, the greater like topics and subjects. Because if you go the other one, that's almost forced to go the one that you don't really want to go down. You know what I mean? You actually force yourself to go down that one. And you got to ask yourself like, the question, why? Why are you putting yourself down that path when it didn't feel right to go down there in the first place? You know what I mean? I've done it before, you know, it's like, you know what, it's a little bit like, it's like self-sabotage a little bit, that path, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's like, you know, spite, you know, it was like, you know, you don't care at the time, you don't care. So you tend to go down the path, like, you go, I don't care. It's simply, I don't care, I'm going down this path. Because the one that flows sort of, that feels good. And sometimes, you know, like in different times, you tend not to think you deserve to feel good. You know what I mean? Like you tend to sort of want to, I don't know, like hate on yourself or whatever. I'm not saying that I do this, but I know at times in my life when I was growing up, I did do this, like, you know, like do things that are not good for you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like to
Yeah.
yourself. You know what I mean? Make bad choices is what I'm saying, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now over to you. You know, tell me about some of your bad choices, Anna.
I don't think there is a bad choices, but we have just to acknowledge David Saavedra. Hello, David, from Algarve in south of Portugal. It's a beautiful friend. We haven't met yet. And yeah, but getting back to what you were saying, yeah, I'm trying to do the same right now. And it's good that for me it resonates so much that you use the word feel because that's it. We actually feel, at least for me, we feel in the body, in a sense. This feels good or this doesn't feel good. And so when we,
Have you heard the saying? Have you heard the saying, Anna? I think, therefore I am. I feel, therefore I am not. You know what I mean? Like it's so true because it's like you feel first, then you think second. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like it's there's nothing to weigh up. You know what I mean? It's just like you do. I think this is the flow. You know, the flow is to do what feels right, isn't it? You know what I mean? Because it takes no effort, does it? I mean, to
yeah,
do what feels right takes no effort because to think about something, to make it is a choice, right?
yeah.
And to make a choice is like, which way do I go? You know, and that takes effort, you know, but it's actually go and just do it, right?
Yeah. Actually, I had a situation like this today that someone was asking me to do something, and then I wasn't feeling good in my body about
Right.
what the request of the person. So I said, like, I'm not feeling so good about this. And yeah, so that is the thing for me now. And because I could have done it, but I was not feeling good about it. Was not giving me, I was uncomfortable.
It's interesting you say your body. It's interesting you say your body because I understand. Like my belief is that your subconscious is your body, you know. But the thing is, like for me, when I do something that feels right, I don't have a moment where what part of me actually is picking that up. I'm saying it's like I don't know. You know, sometimes I will say to somebody, I don't think, you know, and they'll say, well, you have to think. And I said, well, look, what I mean by that is I have thoughts, but I don't hang on to thoughts. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But what I do is I tend to respond to things. You know, something will happen, and I'll just respond. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But in that response, there's no delay almost. You know what I mean? There's like, so for me, my body is what I don't even really have the delay to even know that. I just like and acceptance is another thing too. Like we were supposed to do this interview last week, right?
yeah,
Now my phone company cut my phone off by accident, so we couldn't do it. So I could have been left thinking disappointment, whatever, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But I've sort of got to that point. I'm 120 years old, by the way, and at 120 years old, I tend to I don't hang on to anything anymore. You know what I mean? I'm not really 120. You didn't then react to that, but I'm just saying that um, I'm I tend to go. It is they'll say and go. It is what it is, right?
yes,
I
yeah,
mean, like you know, the serenity prayer. You know, the serenity prayer. You know, like some things you can control, some things you can't.
yeah,
Give me the wisdom to know the difference. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, certain things are out of your control, right? So what are you going to do? Are you going to hang on to that? Like, oh, it should have been this way. What's the point? There's no point to that, right?
Yeah.
You accept it. You accept what happens, right? This is reality, yeah? This is reality, accepting what happens.
Yeah, the same happened to me. Like I was waiting for you to appear on Messenger, so we'll start conversation. Then you didn't appear, and then I said, okay, something must have happened, but I can't control, so I accept. But there was a part of me, these thoughts about so what may have happened, and I got a little bit worried about you, and these thoughts will come to
Yeah,
my
I get
mind,
that.
and then I'll say no,
Yeah,
I
it
accept
happened to me about it.
because I cannot do anything about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so I was
yeah.
okay, but it will be these thoughts coming, like, is Gary okay? But then I said to my mind, like, you cannot do anything from this distance, so just wait and send love and
We can't even fly. You can't even fly here. You're not allowed to fly here and see if I'm okay. But this happened to me a year ago with my phone, right? And one of my best friends in Australia, he couldn't contact me for 3 days.
yeah.
When he finally spoke to me, when he finally spoke to me, he thought I had died. He thought I had died,
I
and
was
it was my phone wasn't working.
Yeah, and that is interesting because before the telephones and the internet, we will go on without news from the people during weeks sometimes or months, and we will not be worried. But right now, since we are all the time connected, if there are some days passing and we don't have news from one person, our minds start to create stories. That was happened to me too. And because I was, wow, Gary is always online, and then there has been already 3 days and he's not appearing. At what the hell is going
I,
on,
I
you know?
enjoyed not having a phone for 3 days. I enjoyed it. But you remember the day? I mean, you're probably too young for this, but way too young. But maybe 30, 40 years ago, you go for a walk in the forest, right? Well, you didn't have a phone. No one could
Yeah,
find you, eh?
I'm not
But
so
these
young.
days, you have a phone in your pocket.
I'm
You're
53.
you're out in the forest having an enchanted moment with the fairies, whatever, and then your mother rings you. Like with some ridiculous question. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, Mum, like I'm actually doing something that's really important to me, and you're ringing me because you're wondering about, like, have I brushed my teeth this morning?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm out in the forest and no one knows I'm here, but you now, and that means I'm going to think about you for a second, and the fairies are going to disappear because they're not going to hang around and wait for me because I'm talking to my mother now, and they're going to go get your priorities right. I
Yeah.
don't talk to the fairies. That's ridiculous. Look, I'll tell you a story about the fairies
I
though.
talk to the fairies too.
I got a friend that talks to the fairies, and I would go out into the forest in the morning at 5 a.m. and ground myself in the forest.
Yeah.
And one day she said to me, take a bowl of milk and put the milk out there for them. So I did that for a few days in a row. But I tell you what, I don't think they drink much, you know, because I come back to the milk and still be there. So I'm not too sure. Not too sure,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I have never seen a fairy, but sometimes because these days, sometimes let's say, I feel like speaking language that I don't know, or
mm,
singing musics that they appear, they just flow, and sometimes I get the feeling that they are fairy stuff, but I have never seen a fairy, and I let's say I don't believe or or believe or not. It's I'm open to all the
well, I
possibilities.
mean, how can you make your mind up one way or the other? Look, at the end of the day, it's like anything, right?
Yeah,
You know, it's like people that believe in God, right?
yeah,
I got a friend that believes in And he always pushes it on me all the time. You know, oh, God bless you, Gary. God this, God that. And I got brought up as a Catholic, right? So like I'm over it. But the thing is, he'll go, God's got you in his hands, Gary. God this, and I'll turn around to him and I'll say, oh, you're living the dream, mate, aren't you? You're living the dream. You know what I'm saying? Because to believe in something where there's no proof of concept, like it's a dream state. It's got to be a dream state. To believe in God is a dream. To believe in fairies, anything you cannot see or touch is a dream. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean it's not a fact. It cannot be a fact. A preacher approached me about 6 months ago, and she wanted to talk to me about God. It took some time. And she said, do I believe in God? I said, no, I don't believe in God. I said, do you? She said, of course I do. She said, in fact, I teach theological studies at university. That's what I do. Okay. I said, have you met God? She said, yes, I met him many times. I said, really? I said, where did you meet him? She said, oh, he just came to me. I said, okay. And then basically, you know, she started talking about the Bible and stuff like that. And see, I'm not religious at all. You know, in fact, I'm religious about not being religious. Okay. The thing is this. I mean, I will not put myself in a box, is what I'm saying to you, okay? I will not do it. So I'm just saying that, but I'm open to anything being a fact if it is proof. You know what I mean? But the thing is that I live by results. You know what I'm saying? I need the proof of concept that it's a fact, and I'll believe it. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to fantasize about something like, you know, I mean, seeing on something exists. You know, the thing is, it's not the Gnostics. You know, the Gnostics believe that the God in the Bible is actually Satan, and they don't even know this. You know what I mean, about their God. You know, but the thing is, it's like people say, you know, oh, I actually get called a good Christian. You know, about a month ago, and I said, listen, I'm not a Christian. Well, why do you say I'm a good Christian? Oh, you have Christian values. Well, yeah, I got brought up as a Catholic, but I'm not a Christian. You label me as a Christian.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying, but like, don't refer to me as a good Christian because I'm not a Christian. Okay. I said, oh, okay, I get it. The thing is that, look, at the end of the day, I know right from wrong, you know, and I think we all do. You mean really? Morality, you know? You know you do something wrong. I mean, unless you haven't got a conscience, you know? But like most people know they've done something wrong. And I would even call that objective morality. Because at the end of the day, I think it's inherent in everybody. I think we're born with it, with the knowing that something's right or wrong. And you talk about feeling it, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I've done things in the past, and you don't even have to admit it to yourself that it was a wrong action, but you know, because you know why? Because you think about it later on, don't you? Well, why do you think about it later on? You know, because you think you almost feel, you may feel guilty what you did, right? You may feel like, you know, depressed. You might feel all these negative things because you know you did something wrong. You know, so I mean, I've got a tattoo on my arm that says pure intention. You know what I mean? And I try to live by that because it only takes a moment to really sort of stop and think about what is your intention about anything you do. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, why not take a moment to check yourself before you wreck yourself? You know what I'm saying? Because, like, if you rush into a decision and you have an agenda and you haven't even acknowledged you have the agenda, then you're going to do something because it's like you want something of that person, and it's not about what you want to do for them. It's about what you want of them, you know. And everyone's, I know everyone knows what that is, but at the end of the day, cleaning up your act is to stop yourself doing that, you know, because there are people that, you know, I have a friend that lives around the corner here, and she's from Poland, and she doesn't believe there's such a thing as unconditional love on earth. Can you believe this? Now, I've done things for her. You know, I've given her gifts, for instance. And she said to me one day, she said, please don't do that. And I said, okay. And I said, why is that? She said, because I feel obliged. And I said, why do you feel obliged? She said, because you do something for me, and I feel like I need to do something for you. And I said, no, you don't have to. And
Yeah.
I said, look, but if you don't want me to do anything for you, I won't do it. She said, yeah, please don't do it because I feel, she said to me, I feel like there's an agenda, you doing this. And I said, listen, I do it because I do it because I feel it'll make you feel good. You know what I mean? That's it.
Yeah.
I hope that you feel good that I do this, right? And she still thinks there's an agenda for me doing it, right? And I
Yeah.
said, well, why do you think that? And she said, well, because she doesn't believe in unconditional love. She thinks there's always a condition to everything we do for somebody.
Yeah.
And I said to her, that's not true. That is not true. And I said to her, because I know what my intention was when every gift I bought her was very spare in the moment, by the way. Like, I didn't think it through. I just did it before I saw it, like a box of chocolates on the way to her business, whatever, right? I thought, oh, that's a good idea. This is what I think. It's a good idea. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
it. Good idea, right? So she thinks, oh, well, you want something. And I'm like, I don't. And I'm trying to explain to her that there is unconditional love because it's a practice, right?
Yeah.
You practice doing something without strings attached to what you do, right?
Yeah.
You just do it because it feels good to do it. That's it in the story. But there are definitely people who don't believe in unconditional love, and I think it's really sad because it's like, I mean, that's a very lonely place to live a life where you think that everybody that does something for you wants something off you. You
Yeah,
know
but
what I mean?
this
Like
is
it's
still um, the collective consciousness that we are living. Most of the people is that a lot of beliefs, even the concept of this is good, this is bad. These are beliefs and judgments for me, and or I did something wrong or I did something right. As you told you told so well, it's like you are in the moment, you are in presence, and that feels good, and you act, and you don't label what you do. That's for me
but
is
in saying that though, but in saying that,
um,
my explanation for that is this: I've I I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So
no, nobody is.
I may do something. No, well,
Or everybody is perfect.
I take
Let's
that back. I take
yeah.
that back. I take that back. No, I am. What I'm saying is that there are things that you can always do better. Is what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is sometimes you'll do something. This is me, and I'll actually think about I'll review that action. I think, oh, next time I do that, I'll actually do it like this because this is part of the growth, right? Like, I'm gonna actually, do it in a way that's actually more appropriate or has a better outcome than what I did because, maybe that whatever you did, you that decision to do that was rushed. For instance, you rushed it, so it was like you didn't think it through at all. You just did. But what I'm saying to you is that when I say right or wrong, what I'm sort of saying is that some things are just spot on. Like, when you're saying the flow, everything just seems to go well all the time. Then there are times when you're not in that flow. But for me, I'm always moving forward. And what that means is that when the flow is not like happening, I'm still pushing forward. Sometimes, so then it takes effort. You know what I mean? It's like rowing a boat, right? You're on a rapid and it's just taking you, but then it slows down. You have to start rowing. You know what I mean? And the flow is there. Sometimes you got to put effort into the flow. But what I'm saying is, in that space of the ebb and flow, like that space where you got to row, it takes effort to do things. Like, it doesn't come as easy as to it when you're in the flow itself. So what I'm saying is, in that space, sometimes you can do things where you think, you know what, I think I learned something from that action. That if I approach that certain that action again, maybe I'll adjust it a little bit to make it easier to actually apply or get a better result. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's all I mean by right. I mean, it's not necessarily wrong because I think we're all doing our best, right? You know what I mean? Like it might not be as good as the day before, but you tend to that a lot of that's to do with your energy levels too, right? I mean, if you're a bit tired, everything takes more effort. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you like it's like, oh, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. I'm tired and I feel like it. But you may do it, but it takes effort to get out of bed or get effort to get out of your seat, whatever. But you tend to go do it. Then you think to yourself, oh, actually felt okay. And actually, it's funny because when you do something that requires effort and you don't feel like it, all of a sudden you realize you feel a bit better. I don't know what it is, because if you sit and do nothing thinking, I don't feel like doing anything, it's look, for me, I tend to get sort of a bit lazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you just tend to get a bit lazy. And then the longer you're in that space, the harder it is to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, so what I'm saying is that the space where you got to row, row. I mean, don't just like, give up because I tell you what, if you're not moving in life
Yeah.
and you just stop, look, the question is, Anna, is there such a thing as stopping in life? Can you stop in life?
Um, I think nothing ever stops because the universe is not static. Um, but let's
But, but,
say
but, but in
that
yourself, Anna,
we it's important that we move energy one way or another, or else, in a sense, there can be a stagnant energy around you, so nothing seems to be happening. Still, something is always happening. That's
yeah,
how I
you
feel.
talking about things like depression now, aren't
What?
you? So you may be referring to depression now.
It can be many things. It can even not be depression, but let's say you are in your house and you don't move anything, and you just keep on going every day, and you don't nothing new is coming, nothing is going out, and sometimes things may look a little bit stagnant.
Yeah,
Even
but is that
yeah,
stopping? Is that
it's not.
when I mean
It's
stopping?
never stopping for me. It's never stopping
Yeah.
because nothing is static in the universe. So it's never
Well, the thing
stopping.
is, personally though, I mean personally, the only reason I even put that question up is because I don't think there is such a thing. Because even if you physically do nothing, you're still thinking.
Of
You
course.
know what I mean? So
So
that's doing something. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So you cannot stop and not think, right?
yeah.
I
Hmm.
mean, that would be stopping. And and I can how do you imagine that? Like, what is that? Like, I mean, meditation might be touching on that, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not talking about something that you deliberately do. I'm talking about just have nothing going on at all, where you just say sit down on a seat and you have no thoughts about anything. You're just there, like you just zoned out with nothing happening at all. You'd have to be on drugs or something. I mean, no, seriously, anyone can. And the question is, I mean, if you stop yourself now and you did your best not to think, how long before a thought would come into your head?
I don't know. But actually, I don't think we can stop because I have. You were speaking about the idea of God and the beliefs that people have around God. And for me, each and every one of us is an expression of God. This
Yeah.
is not a belief. This is something that I feel inside. I feel in my body, in my heart, that is true. It's not my mind that says this, is something that I feel as truth for me, like in my world. So even if you are stopped and you are in a meditation state that you don't have any thoughts, you are connected, you are an expression of that totality. And that totality is always in movement and expanding. So you are being affected by the movement of all the other expressions of this totality. And and actually, even the idea of meditation for me is just a tool for you to be able to connect to this totality at every
Yeah.
now, so you access, in a way, information, which is not knowledge, is exactly you act from this inner knowing at every now. So some situation is presented to you, and you act from, let's say, intuition, from your heart, from, there are many names.
Like,
Um,
the divine sort of.
yeah,
Have
yeah.
you ever read? Have you read the Egyptian Book of the Dead?
No, but I already heard about it, but I have never read it. We have
The,
Ricardo Alves. Hello, Ricardo. And he's saying, don't think, just feel. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now. Just feel, but not the usual concept that people have about feelings, but how does it feel inside me, in the body, in the heart, in the yeah. Does it feels good?
but
Yeah,
and the question is,
different.
the, the question I have, the question I have for most people is simply, are you being honest with yourself? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, if I said to you, like, I'm not asking you to answer this question, but like, how do you feel right now? And then your answer, like, the next question is, can you be honest with me? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
or honest, or further more than that, I mean, can you be honest with yourself
with yourself.
about that? You know what I mean? Because I mean, sometimes we don't like to even acknowledge that we feel. Like, I mean, a classic example is being attracted to somebody. You know what I mean? Like, and acknowledging that you're attracted, and it could be a married person, whatever. But like, so these impulses or these responses to things, they're not something you can necessarily control. I mean, they're just something that happens. It's a
Yes,
feeling, right? And you might meet somebody and think, well, like I'm attracted to you. I'm curious or interested in you, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is that this that can't be stopped. I don't see how that's sort of out of your control. And but the thing is like the judgment we put on that it can be an issue.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like if I said I'm attracted to a married woman, but I didn't tell anybody, right? I mean, I don't have to, right? But the thing is, if I felt it was wrong to be attracted to a married woman, then I'm judging myself. It's like I'm saying that God, the Christians might say, sin. I
yeah,
don't know, what I'm saying? Like it's
yes,
like it's wrong,
yes,
and then you say to yourself, well, hang on, but that's very natural.
yeah,
That's a natural thing that happens. And getting back to like where I believe that we should take life forward with is looking at nature, because a lot of people are so disconnected from their own nature, and there's nothing wrong with like how you feel about anything, right? I mean, you got your feelings and you also got your instincts too, right? You know what I mean? Like they're very natural as well. But most people, they're so disconnected from their senses. You know what I mean? And people talk about five senses, but at the end of the day, there's a lot more than five senses. You know what I mean? Like there's a multitude of like senses that you can pick up on, and but the thing is like it, it's listening to them, huh? You know what I mean? You talk about listening to your body, but I mean, like, how many people listen to what they sense? A lot of people don't even acknowledge what they're sensing. I walked my dog one night, and it was late in the evening, late in the afternoon, and the sun was still up, but it was an hour and 30-minute walk. By the time I returned, it got dark light. For 30 minutes in complete darkness with my dog, I couldn't see anything at all. But you know what? He walked in front of me on the lead, and he path was. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all of a sudden, because I trusted him, I just followed him. All of a sudden, in the darkness, I started to sense things like my other senses active, like my hearing, my smell. All of a sudden, they become a little bit more active than my because I had no eyesight. You know what I'm saying? So all of and the wind. It's like all of a sudden, why is the wind so like like the wind? It was there before it was dark, but now all of a sudden I can hear the wind. Things like this, and
Yeah.
it's like it's interesting that we don't have to have all of our senses working at one time, because the other senses, like my dog, he couldn't see where he was going, but he knew exactly where the path was because his other senses, like his hearing and everything. Are you there?
Yeah, I am. Are you seeing me?
Just hang on, I just lost you. Oh yeah, we're
Yeah,
back again.
I'm here. Yeah, but that is feels absolutely truthful for me. That even I was speaking with a friend some time ago, which he does like some workshops where the people, for instance, they use something to cover the site, so they
Yeah,
could feel the other senses. When I
yeah,
say feel in the body, is in the sense that also you feel sensations in our we feel sensations in our bodies, but
sure.
there are much more layers of information at every moment getting to us, and but since the body is connected
Are
with
you, are you talking
everything.
about things like are
What?
you talking about things like your gut? Like people talk about their gut instinct, like your gut, like
Yeah,
your
the gut.
solar plexus. You feel,
Yeah,
yeah, your gut, yeah.
yeah,
And your heart, obviously your heart. I mean, your heart. The old saying goes, people say, you speak from your heart. Well, the interesting thing is your heart doesn't think.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Let's say some
You know?
some people are saying right now that actually all our body parts they have a brain, not just a brain. So actually there is a kind of
Consciousness.
brain in the digestive system. There is a kind of brain in the heart. There is a overall brain in our entire body, which they call innate. And so
Well, I
even
mean,
even the concept
you
of
can bring that down to the cells.
yeah each
You
yeah
can bring that down to every cell.
yeah that's what I feel about our bodies. It's like this image was coming to me some time ago, like it's like a imagine ants, a colony of ants, which each ant knows what to do, and apparently they have separate bodies, but they work, and the scientists they don't know how they know what to do each of them. And I see our body like something similar, but the cells will be the ants, let's say, in a sense.
Well, the collective is like that. The collective is
And
like that
of
too.
course, the
You
collective.
know, you know, you know the expression. This is an interesting expression. We could be like ants ourselves, right?
Yeah,
Like as a collective,
yes,
because there's the word inhabitant,
yeah,
inhabit ant.
inhabit, and yeah,
You know,
yeah, 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 yeah. That's great. That's a great image. Yeah, and that's what I see in the whole totality. That in the totality, it's always a replication from the micro to the macro. Is a replication of fractals. Actually, also the idea of fractals. It's very powerful to me, and
so
that's
yeah.
why we were speaking about chaos. And for me,
Ah,
yeah, for me, chaos is happening at every now, in the sense that all these parts are
yeah,
interacting, and so it's always
yeah.
chaos and reordering chaos and reordering in the sense reordering in the sense that everything is working for the best outcome of the totality.
Yeah, I thought about that after we had that conversation, and what I concluded was this. I think that in the known world of what you know to be what you're aware of and what you're conscious of, I think that chaos itself is outside of that. It's like it's like if you're an island, and everything on the island is what you know, but like the sea around the island, I think the sea is the chaos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the unknown. You know what I mean? The chaos is the unknown. But once it becomes like known, then we put it into some sort of we tend to sort of like order it in some way. You know what I mean? We tend to put it into some sort of place in our minds, in our consciousness, don't we? You know what I mean? But when it's unknown, you have no it's like a radical thing. It's not something that you can have any. You have no say in it because you're not even aware of what it is. So the unknown to me is where the chaos exists. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like I mean, but once something becomes known, then we can actually put it into some sort of place. You know what I mean? Like
But that
as
is
if our
our minds, just our minds, because
like
actually,
a filing system, like a filing system. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Even like a computer. You know what I mean? When you file things, you know. I mean,
Mm.
I think we file things away once we understand something, once we accept and understand what something is, or we make some sort of conclusion, we tend to put it into some place, you know. Maybe it's a priority thing, whatever, but we tend to sort of file it away somewhere. But what I'm saying is that it's not chaos anymore because we have some sort of order with it at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, but when it is outside of our awareness, it's just like a free radical. You know what I mean? It's just like it's just you know it has no it has no purpose almost. You know what I mean? I mean, chaos has no real
No, it
um.
is for me. I see a purpose because it's the only way that all can be because we are the parts, but also we are the totality. So that's the only way things can work out.
Yeah, but what I'm saying when I say no, but what I mean by the chaos, it has no you know when it has no you know useful purpose in the sense of like I mean chaos is chaos. I mean it's like you know it's almost chaos can be almost like a problem or a an issue because I remember that show on TV Get Smart. You know the bad guys were called chaos. You know, and they caused all the problems. You know what I mean? And then you had control, which was the good guys called control.
Yeah, but
And
this is all the old system and old constructs and old paradigms. Old in the
yeah,
sense
yeah,
that's what we are living still. But
yeah, I know. But what I'm saying in that is that, like, again, you know, if I ask you the question, Anna, explain what chaos actually is.
for me, chaos. That's because I was hearing you right now, and that's another subject that I feel it's very interesting. The words, because for you, chaos um, brings something which I think your mind still label as negative. For me, chaos is the infinite
I
bliss.
know I
No,
don't make it
just
negative. I'm just saying that without awareness, I mean, without the awareness of what chaos can do, I mean, what do you do with? I guess what do you do with chaos?
that's what I was. What I see is like is the chaos for me is the eternal readjusting of all the parts for creation. Chaos is the precursor of creation, but it's
I
always
got a
so
question. I
it's
got
always happening. It's always happening all the time.
uh,
Like we are breathing and the air is coming in and out, and a lot of chaos is happening all the time and is being rearranged all the time. That is
yeah,
just an
you just actually
example.
read my mind because yeah, you just read my mind because I was going to ask you this question. It's like when you look up at the night sky. I mean, what do you see? I mean, do you see the stars,
Yes,
or do you see the space in between the stars?
yes,
Because you know what, you know when people talk about the Akashic records, for instance, like people, the question people have is where are they? Well, to me, they are the space in between the stars, right? Now, because it's called the Akash in India, it's called the Akash, the space in between everything is called the Akash.
Yeah, or the atoms.
And but in the Akash, there's a lot of information. And a lot of people don't understand that, some people would even say that spirit is actually breath. Breath is spirit. I mean, what are you breathing in? It's not just nothing. I mean, there's like it's charged with electrical particles and all sorts of things. You know what I mean? Like it's. I mean, where does your life force come from? I mean, really, where does it come from? It's got to come from your breath.
From many
You know what I
sources,
mean?
actually, from many sources, I feel.
I mean, you got the sun, but I'm talking about moment to moment. Like, I mean, how long can you live without air, breathing? How long can you live without breathing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's pretty. But how many people actually understand what you're breathing in? I mean, I'm not talking about toxins. I'm talking about like the stuff that keeps us alive. I mean, you got oxygen, obviously, but so much. There's information.
Yeah.
There's actually data. There's actually data in that
And all the
breath.
time, that's why that's one of the chaos I see it, because all the time, like we are here having this conversation, and there is more than the words we are exchanging. There are much more layers of information being transmitted uh, from you and uh, from us and to us, and from even the people that are joining us, and even from the people that will be joining us. So
So
it's even
I'm
that
sure
is
everything's
is
connected.
a chaos all the time, because imagine people are watching a video. I feel that when someone is watching a video, is adding something more to that moment, and
Well, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because I can stop right now. I have no idea how many people are even watching this. No idea, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
if I stop for a second, and what's very interesting is, like, where does the thought even come from? I mean, like, where's an idea come from? Where's inspiration come from? And I think if I stop myself for a second and just stop myself thinking for one moment and think about, or just place my awareness on who could be watching, right? And I could go, okay, it's funny because all of a sudden it's like an individual comes to my mind. I have no idea who it is, but it'll be like at this point, actually, I have to say that I'm imagining this because I have no idea what I'm doing.
yeah,
But like as soon as I do this, a woman comes to mind. It's like, why am I thinking about it? If I place my awareness on who could be watching, and I just stop and wait, and all of a sudden this woman, not I can't see a woman, like, but I know there's a woman watching, and that's something that, where does that come from? What does that even mean? And then I think to myself, well, could it be the fact that we're being observed by an audience, whoever's watching? Now they're placing their attention on us. Now we've got to have some awareness of this, right? I mean, like, you know what it's like. You walk in a room and all of a sudden you turn around because someone's looking at you. You feel that their attention on you. You can feel the energy, right? What do they say? Where attention goes, energy flows, right?
yeah,
So we could expand on that and say, well, yeah, I can actually pick up the fact that there are. I can't go as far as to say how many people are watching it all, but I can pick up the fact at this point anyway that there's a woman watching. That's all I can say. But what I'm saying to you, it's an exercise in saying that obviously, if I'm picking up the fact that there's a woman watching us, then I'm picking up the fact that she's affecting what we're doing. You know what I mean? Because I'm feeling her energy, right?
yeah,
So I'm saying, okay, this is not like a this is like a two-way street with an audience, right? I mean, we're being observed, but at the same time, the observed is observing the observer. It all goes around You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's like, but I'm not saying we're conscious of this. But obviously, energetically, an audience. It's like I'm a musician, right? And if I do a rehearsal here with my mates, it's just the two of us playing. We have a great time playing. But as soon as we go out and play to an audience, energetically, the energy of the music is lifted like you believe because of the audience's attention. They're sending their energy to us. It's just like going to church. I mean, like,
Yes.
you know, a priest can get up in front of an altar and be more of, a being or a man than what he is when you talk to him outside of the church because of the attention that's on him from the congregation. They're all putting their attention on him like a rock star would be. And why do, people on stage become larger than life? You know what I mean? Why do they do, remarkable things on stage? Well, obviously their energy levels go through the roof because, it's not, but it's coming also from the audience.
Yes.
And if you want to expand that into the collective, it's the same thing, right? If you do things with the intention of not just helping yourself, but helping people you care about, like your family and friends, and then expand on that like a ripple effect, to the collective, then if everybody were to do that, if everybody, like thought about, look, there's two types of people, right? People that serve themselves, people that serve others. Like, I'm just saying that, like, it's a pretty lonely place if you don't care about anyone else but yourself, right? I mean, like, what's the point? What is the point? I mean, like, as human beings, we're creatures that need each other. You know what I mean? I believe anyway. Look at this lockdown. Look at the mental illness it's created because of the isolation. You know what I mean? Like, why do people love, walking up to someone that they enjoy and give them a hug? I mean, like, because it feels good, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whatever it is, energetically, whatever you're getting, but like, this is inherent in our nature. You know what I mean?
It's
Look, even my dog sleeps in my bed with me.
yeah.
He'll come up and he'll cuddle up next to me.
Oh, we have Ricardo Alves. He say the chaos is an order still to decipher. I think that's what he's saying in Portuguese, and I'm trying to translate. Yeah, it's very deep. Yeah, yeah.
What did he say? It's an order.
An
It's
order in
ordered.
the sense that ordering things, ordering. So maybe the right word is not order. It's yeah,
Well, it's funny that he says that because
yeah. It's the
again, to
infinity.
observe to observe the chaos. As soon as you observe the chaos, just like the audience observes the performer or whatever,
Yeah, yeah.
then,
So
then, then it has an effect. I mean, like, so as soon as you're aware of something being like random or chaotic or whatever you want to call it, as soon as you place your attention on it, you have an effect on it, don't you?
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
mean, so then it becomes some sort of ordered.
yeah,
I mean, even to understand it, to place your attention on something, well, you're beginning to understand it, aren't you? Or you're observing it at least. I mean, so I think that if it's unknown, then obviously, we have no idea what it is. But like once it becomes observed as something, then we actually, it becomes part of our existence or whatever, part of it, our reality. And again, we place it into some sort of, we place it into our reality somehow. We by learning to having to accept it or understand it or to, what I mean, deal with it. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's like when something happens to you, like you have no, like when something happens out of the blue, you have no understanding why that just happened.
yeah,
Like, something really bad happens. Like when I say bad, like, something comes out of the blue that you just didn't expect. Well, a lot of people take a while to get their head around it, but the thing is, it's like, why is it that the things that we're used to, the things that we're comfortable with, are the things that we can sort of accept easier than the things we don't normally have any experience of, because, there's an old saying that goes, people fear what they don't understand.
Yeah, that's it. That's what
People fear
I'm going
what
to
they don't
say.
understand.
Because the unknown brings fear. Um, brings fear because for me because still the illusion of separation. And Ricardo is saying very appropriately that you are me and I am you and we are all together. But since most of the persons are still living with this illusion that we are not together or we are not this one, and due to all these beliefs, like as you said, the Christian beliefs or the doctrine beliefs in God as something separate from ourselves, for
Yeah,
instance, and that
yeah, yeah.
creates that illusion that,
It's right.
yeah,
It creates this idea of us and them. But the thing is, getting back to the Book of the Dead. See, the three main points to that book was that in the beginning, the source of everything is us realizing we see ourselves in the beginning. We see ourselves separating from what was the beginning of everything. So this is an awareness of separation. Like, and I think this is what you're referring to. It's like being a fractal of sorts itself. Like you could say, if you believe in God, you could say, well, we've got to be children of God, right? Now the question would be, if you're a child of God, it's like having your own children. Are you in a better position, or are you
yeah,
of in any way? I mean, you're not. I mean, so if you're a child of God, that means that you've got everything about you that God has itself. So
yeah,
what I'm saying is that in the Book of the Dead, it's just like in the beginning, it's this like separation from source. Now, a lot of people don't understand the fact that once one incarnates here, from the moment we incarnate, there's a sense of separation. I mean, and furthermore, there might even be a sense of abandonment. I mean, you arrive here, you might have parents, but like you do arrive here on your own. You know what I mean? Now, I'm saying that like there can be a deep sense of abandonment from source. You know what I mean? You're separated off, and you've incarnated here, right? Now, in the Book of the Dead, it's just like you separate once, you separate twice. So what I'm getting at with what your belief is that I think that we all come from source, right? Obviously, you know what I mean. I mean, where else do we come from? So we're all source energy. You know what I mean. So what I'm saying is that in the Book of the Dead, the second part of it is the awareness of the snake or the serpent, because people don't understand that, like in the Book of the Dead with reincarnation, the skin of the snake is not the snake. It's just the skin of the snake in that incarnation. And the third point to the book is like the return home to completeness, to oneness, and to understand and to accept you are source. And the idea that that there was any separation in the beginning was the fact that you incarnated and you had this sense that you were separated from source, like you were human and source is God or something separate to you. Well, at the end of the day, you know, if there's a journey or there's something that one can complete in this lifetime, is this point that you reach, you understand that you are source, and people say, well, you're God, but like people don't like you saying that. Like
yeah,
religious people have big issues with that. But
yeah,
the thing is, like my question to them is that, why do you look at something or even worship something that's outside of yourself? I mean, like, people talk about God, and then they say God out in the sky or God in the external world. Like, what is that? What is God in the external world? Like, I mean, that is separate. That means you're separated from that sense of what God is, right? It's in the external world, not in your inner world. It's in the external world around you. Now, the idea that you are God, that is like saying that well, the temple of God is within. You know what I mean? Like, one understands that once you, if it's really interesting, because if you want to validate anything as a knowing or a truth, it doesn't take much to just go within yourself, and
Yeah.
the further you go into it, the more you realize that yes, you know the answer to everything.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, if you really want to, you actually, but people are looking in the external world for the answers, right? Like, they go to church to worship God, and it's like, I've been to churches where they do this, and I can see that, like, for instance, I went to a Bible study, right? And they showed a video on crucifixion, and one of the guys there said to me, well, do you have any questions? And I said, yeah, I do, actually. I said, can someone here please explain what sin is? I had no idea. And I know what the word sin means, to miss your target. It's actually it's like an archery term or something. It's like an aim. You miss your aim, right? That's what the word sin means, right? Now, I said to them, what does sin mean? And they didn't tell me what it meant, but they gave me an example of what a sin was. And the interesting example was this. The guy that was running the Bible study said that to turn your back on God was a sin. I said, that's very interesting, isn't it? I said, because I don't believe in God. So you're saying that if you turn your back on God, that's a sin. So if I say I don't believe in God, are you calling me a sinner because I don't believe in God? And but what I'm getting at here is that like, where's the judgment? I'm not making the judgment. He was making the judgment. You know what I mean? Like, he was the one saying you turn back on God, it's a sin. He said it, not me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I thought it was a really bad example. You know what I mean? But the thing is it's like, I know who I am, and I explained to everyone there as I was getting to know everybody. I said to him, to the vicar, I said, because this started to become a bit of an argument. And I said to him, I said, look, I'm here to, just basically let you know who I am. You know what I mean? Like, and now you're judging me because I'm being like honest with you about, you know, and I'll tell you another thing too, because there are people that that are limited, and most people that are religious are limited, and there are people that are limitless, right? They want to keep on knowing more. They have an open mind, whatever you want to call it. But the thing is, I said to the vicar, when I'd gone around to his place a few times, because I lived in Egypt and I lived in India, you know what I mean? And as soon as I said to him that I'd lived in Egypt, he was like, he didn't say anything, but speaking to other people about it, what he doesn't talk to me anymore, okay? The reason was because I threatened his status quo, you know what I mean? Because the fact was that I used to turn up to his church and people would ask me questions about what I thought about things, right? And I told them exactly what I thought, you know what I mean? And the thing was, and I told the vicar exactly what I thought, the way I saw things. But like, he didn't accept
Yeah.
the fact that like I thought outside of the holy book. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
He did not accept that I could have perspectives that weren't part of his dogma. You
Yeah.
know,
The
and it's
question
like
is
I
a
become a
dogma.
threat
The
to his
question is
reality.
a dogma for me
Yeah,
because
and I
yeah.
said, and, yeah, I was a threat to his reality,
Yeah.
and now he doesn't talk to me. He won't talk to me.
The more strongly someone reacts to something that goes against their beliefs, um, it shows the fear. It's always fear. It's always fear. And each being is in his unique path, and the religions were based in interpretations of this information that is available since ages for all parts to access. And so yeah, it's all for
But
me
I mean, but
right now is
if you live
for me right now is always a
if you live
tool.
your life if you live your life by one book, if you live your life by one book, the Bible, this is for example, right? And you will not think outside of the book, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I were to say to the vicar, which I did say about certain things that I thought, and he won't accept these things, right? Because they're outside of his safe zone of reality. What he thinks is,
It's their world.
like
It's their
that's
world.
his world, exactly, exactly. But
Yeah.
see, the thing was, I become a threat to
Yeah.
his reality.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And there's two things you can do with that. One is that you can expand your awareness and grow, because sometimes one of the biggest inca- incantations is to say I was
Incantation.
wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to say, oh, like, because someone can say something to you, or that makes sense, and I've never heard that before, or I've never thought that, but either you're going to shoot it down, or you're going to take it on board, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the thing is, it doesn't have to be your idea,
Yeah.
or you don't have to come up with the awareness or the knowledge. I mean, you don't have to do it all on your own. I mean, you can listen to other people, and if it makes sense, like what they're saying, then why wouldn't you adopt that as part of your reality? Is all I'm saying, because
Yeah.
it's like, I mean, if you want to expand your consciousness, then it's good to listen to other people, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
And
I mean,
when we are open to listen, there is always new information for us. Always. That's what I'm feeling right now. That when we detach from the judgment, even that judgment, like, oh, this person will not bring anything new to us, then there will be some information. So
well,
all beings can bring us new information, not
it's
knowledge, but
another issue.
information. Information maybe is not in words. I just
Yeah, but
would like to acknowledge Ricardo Alves saying the kingdom of God is within synchronicity.
that's right.
And also, he says Jesus was a mushroom, which uh,
Yes, he was a merchant. He was a merchant. Yes,
mushroom.
yes.
What does it mean?
But yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. See, the thing was, like people don't understand that. Like, I believe Jesus was a merchant because you know what? At the end of the day, he had to have money, didn't he? I mean, like, how do you live without money? I
Yes,
mean, he would have had to do something for money, but they never talk about that. They do they? You
of
know what I
course.
mean?
Yeah, he was a human being. He was an expression of this source. Yeah. So yeah, he he will
I
pee
mean,
everything. He will wash the head the face in the morning. He will have to wear clothes, and I don't know. But the idea
and
of
I'll tell you another
mushroom.
thing too. I mean, he he would have had his flaws as well. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure he had things about him he needed to work on. I mean, obviously, right? I mean, I think religion sort of paints Jesus as this perfect being. In fact, they say that without sin. They talk about him without sin. I mean, like, really? I mean, like, you know, let's say that he existed, right? For argument's sake. Now, he was a man. I mean, he was a man. He was here, right? Now he grew up, as a child, as a boy, as an adolescent, into a man. And he had people around him, right? Family and friends, like everybody else. Really, I mean, how do you get born as a perfect being without sin and never make mistakes? I mean, this is ridiculous to think this. I mean, all
It's
I'm
an
saying is that,
interpretation,
I mean,
Gary. It's a human
why, why, why,
interpretation.
why couldn't he have been? Why couldn't he have been like, this is one perspective, right? That you would never hear it from, religion, from a Christian point of view. I mean, maybe he cursed. Maybe he hung around with prostitutes. Well, he probably did. But what I'm saying, look, he probably hung around with people that people didn't want to hang around with. You know what I mean? Because they do say that he came here not to help the people that already were helping themselves, the people that needed help. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ricardo is saying that uh, the Bible is about astrology and shamanism. I love this idea. Yeah, and it makes sense to me. Uh, but not maybe the version of the Bible that came to our days. Because actually there are so many versions, and I believe the church, let's say, willing to control persons in that times, they kept the versions that were favorable to the kings and to the controlling of the persons and disempowering.
Because at the end of the day, the story of Jesus, which I would refer to as Yeshua. But the thing is this: like historical evidence is very, very limited. You
Yes,
know what I mean?
yeah, I
Now,
feel the same.
so
What is
you know what I
history?
mean. So like, what sort of man was he? No one knows what sort of man he was. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? But see, the thing is, like, to be somebody like Christ-like. I mean, some people have got this idea that you don't swear, you don't do this, you don't do that, but that doesn't make you a good person. You know what I mean? Like, some of the best people I know, like, are pretty, full on. You know what I mean? And people judge them because they curse, and they live a certain life that you think, well, that maybe that's not very, that's, you know outside of their sort of like, belief system. But what I'm saying is that, you know there are good people in the world, and there's some not so good people, right? But you can't judge somebody because of like their personality, or I mean, as long as they're not hurting anybody. You know what I mean? Like, do no
I
harm.
wouldn't see as good people or bad people. I see as beings that are not
I didn't say bad people.
aware
I
and and
I said not so good. Not bad. I said good and not so good. Because look, there are people. I know there are people that do bad things. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I've seen it.
let's
I've
say
seen it. And
they are
but
choosing not for the best outcome for all, and that leads us to the free choice, which you we spoke a little bit because you said me what is the free choice?
well,
We
I
have
mean,
free
like,
choice.
life is a choice. Life is a choice. And the other thing, furthermore to that, I mean, life's a choice, not an obligation. You're not obliged to do anything in life. You know what I mean? It's your life. You choose to live it any way you want, as long as you're not hurting anybody. I mean, like, you're not obliged to. People think, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. Like, I have to ring this person, I feel obliged. No, you don't. Because if you do it, you don't want to do it, then you're going against what you actually feel, or whatever it is. And I mean, is that the right action? I wouldn't think it was, because you may be doing it for the wrong reasons, right? You may ring someone because you're feeling guilty. You know what I mean? You feel obliged to ring them because you're feeling guilty, whatever. But I don't think that's the reason to ring. You know what I mean? I think you should ring because you want to talk to them. You feel like you want to talk. And it's like you and I talking now, and you know how this has happened, how this has worked out. even when I couldn't talk to you last week, you know, I had plenty of things I had to do, but I had thoughts like, you know, what does Anna think? Because I couldn't contact you, right? So I thought, what is Anna thinking? And then I thought to myself, maybe, you know, because we had a bit of a hiccup the week before as well, I'm thinking to myself, there could be a possibility that you're thinking that I just didn't turn up, right? I
No,
mean, it's a
I
thought.
didn't.
No, 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 no.
Yeah, but
But I had
it
a
could
thought.
be.
I didn't know. I don't know.
It
And
could
I
be.
don't know. But what I'm saying to you is I had a thought that maybe that you thought I let you down. I don't know, but I had the thought, right? But what I'm saying to you is if you don't, let me say this, if you don't dwell on a possibility of something being a reality, and you know, you just go, okay, well, it's a possibility, that's it. But you don't hang on to it. This is the reality, right? I mean,
Yeah.
when my phone was re-engaged the other day and I was able to make contact with you, your first response to me was very, very positive. But you know, it was a surprise and not a surprise, if you know what I mean, because I
First, I
because
thought
I didn't
you
know,
were
I don't know,
asleep.
I didn't know what to expect. I
First,
didn't
I
know what to
thought you were
expect.
asleep, and I said, probably get because I saw you were online for hours before, so I thought, oh, Gary must have fall asleep, and then I said, okay, so it's better I do a post saying that we are not doing, but I was okay because I'm living like the now and not judging. So I was not like, oh, he let me down or something. No, I just was okay. He must be sleeping. But then I start getting worried because of all we already said in the beginning of the conversation.
But
But
really,
then I will say to my mind, don't think about this because it wouldn't help. So send love to Gary, send light, and whatever is happening, that will work for the best outcome for all. But it's not
well, yeah,
easy.
like I said, yeah, when I got when I contacted you the other day, telling you what happened after it must have been close to 4 or 5 days later.
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
oh, he's alive.
yeah, I know, and I could feel your sense of almost like excitement, and I thought, oh, that's great news because the point I'm getting at is that like we're talking now, you know, we're doing this Zoom meeting now that we were going to do last Friday, maybe like we're talking nearly 5 days ago, 6 days ago,
I think it was a
but
week ago or
a week ago, yeah. But
yeah,
the thing is, I didn't like, you know, we may never have talked again.
yeah,
You just don't know. But what I'm saying is that, you know, again, it was out of my control what happened, right?
yeah,
So, but the point being is we're talking now,
yeah,
and maybe it was more the timing maybe was better to talk today than it was last week. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I mean, like,
That's
because you
what
know
I
what? At
said.
the end of the day, there's so much has happened. So much has happened in 5 or 6 days because, you know, I had all these thoughts about like what you were thinking and all this, you know, and and now we're talking, and it's like it's all worked out. And again, you know, 5 days ago, I had no idea what was going to happen. You know, but the thing is, it's like it's all worked out for the good.
Yeah,
You know, because you know it's accepting the fact that some things are out of your control, right? You know what I mean? And so you just accept it. And the funny thing is, as soon as you accept it, it seems to work out in a
it's
way that you didn't
freedom.
expect.
Yeah,
You
and
know, it's like all of a
freedom.
sudden, it's like,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's funny because that morning that I was going to talk to you, I can actually remember back to how I felt because I got up and I got out of bed to like talk to you, and I can still remember like going to my iPad and not having connection to the internet. That's how I realized something was wrong, and I couldn't even contact you at all. And but I can remember the morning and how I felt about talking to you on Zoom that morning. And as a comparison, when I woke up this morning, and we talked only last night about doing this today. I woke up this morning and I was in so much of a better space today than I was last week. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I feel better about the fact that it took till today to talk than it did last week, meaning that it worked out better, that it even happened that way for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
You
what
know?
I'm feeling too.
Anyway.
So now I'm always saying all in divine perfection, all in divine time, in the sense that when things will
Mm,
happen, it will be the perfect time and perfect moment.
yeah,
And
exactly.
if
And
we
and you can't
just
and you can't force anybody else's
yeah,
reality. You know what I mean? Like I have to accept the fact that you'll be able to do it when you can do it. You know what I mean? I can't say, well, let's do it now, Anna.
yeah,
It's like, I have to like let you obviously give you the freedom to do it in your time. So it's accepting that as well. I mean, it's just
yeah,
it'll happen when it happens. Is the old saying, right? You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So it's all good.
Dear
It's all good.
Gary, we have still Ricardo saying true love is beyond good and evil, and preach, brother, he says. And yeah, I'm loving this
Did he
conversation.
say true love?
Yeah,
Did he say true love?
yeah, he said true love.
Like, well, it's funny, because for 25 years I was a tattooist, right? And my son's a tattooist, and I haven't had a tattoo for a long time. But I said to my son the other day that I wanted him to do a tattoo on me, and it's actually true love,
Wow, I love
because
this.
well, I mean, there is such a thing. I mean, it's an old tattoo, true love. It's like, people get together, in relationships for all different reasons, but you know, as far as the love goes, that there is I get this sense that there is such a thing as true love. You know what I mean? True love, where the other types of love or the other types of relationships based on different things. Like, sometimes look, it's so often you see people in relationships and they're nothing more than business. They're business relationships. You know what I mean? Because
Wow,
they're based on
we
money.
we are entering in another full conversation. And we could
And
go
when I
on.
say when
I
I
don't
say
know.
business,
Do you want
when I
to
say
keep on
business,
a little bit
when I,
more? But we are already on for 1 hour and 30 minutes. I don't know if we could
it's all right.
do
I am when
another
I say
one.
business arrangements, it's relationships. Hey Anna, when I say business relationships,
I
like some
understand.
marriages are,
I
you know,
understand.
um, when I get off this call, you'll have to text me your address so I can send you the invoice.
Invoice of what? Invoice of what?
It's an old joke. It's an old joke, and
Yeah. Oh,
this guy,
Ricardo says
this
is
guy's,
a gap. Yes, it's a gap. That's it, Ricardo. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, there's this guy on a desert island, right? And he's been there for a long time. And he's very lonely, and he's not religious, but he gets to a point one day where he looks up at the sky and he says, "Look, God, if you're real, if you're actually there, can you send me a companion?" And all of a sudden, this woman appears, next to him on the ground next to him, and he's like, he can't believe it. Like he's thinking, "My God, must be real. He sent me a partner, like a companion." So he thinks to himself, "I wonder what else I can ask for." So he looks up at the sky again. And he says, "God, like I'm very thankful that you've sent me a companion, this woman. She's beautiful. But is there anything else you can give me? And God sort of stopped for a moment, thought about this, and he said, "Yeah, there is actually." And you know what fell out of the sky? An invoice.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, if you want to, it's funny you brought up the time before this. I'm just looking at the clock. I knew it was about an hour and 30 minutes. And I was getting the sense only about like a few minutes ago of like, I mean, we could talk. You know what? Look, I had a conversation with a friend in England. First time I ever spoke to her, I think I told you, Anna. First time I ever spoke on audio chat on Messenger, we spoke for 7 hours, and the second time we spoke 3 weeks later for another 7 hours. So, you know what I'm saying, right? So what I'm saying is that a few minutes ago,
We have to
a
do
few minutes
another
ago, I was
one
getting
soon.
and
We have to do another one.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
the, the problem that you face is that you get to a certain point when you're talking about anything, and you can sort of get to a point of like, realizing and coming up with certain answers. But um, if one keeps on talking, then you'll get into different topics. And the problem that you face is that once you start expanding or opening up conversations about anything else, are we going to talk for another hour and 30 minutes or what? I mean, maybe we should call it a day because I get the sense that it's probably a good time to sort of, um, what's the old saying? How do you say it in Portugal? Like what comes to mind is Doris Day for me. Que sera, sera. You know that song?
Yeah, que sera, sera. Yeah. I love this song. Yeah. Actually is like being the now, right? And que sera, sera. What will happen will happen, and we just
What will
flow.
be will be.
Yeah, what
The
will be
future's
will
not ours
be.
to
We just
see.
flow. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Look, again, like it doesn't matter what happens, right? Because life's gonna unfold anyway, right? One way or another.
Yeah, that's what
You know,
I'm
it
feeling now. A big wave. Whoa. And nothing.
but Anna, what I'm saying is that, like, for anybody, like going forward, we're going to come across our challenges as well. And what I'm saying is that it just depends on how you look at something. I mean, like, you can either, John Lennon said, there are no problems, only solutions, right? I mean, like, it just depends how you look at it. Like, you know, people generally don't like to deal with the most important things in their life. Like, people say, oh, you've got a lot on their plate. Why do they have a lot on their plate? Because they're not dealing with the things that are important. Because it's easier to do something that's easy. I mean, like, some things that people haven't dealt with that they've had for a long time, and it gets harder to deal with. I'm just saying that, like, to accept something that you might find as a challenge in life, or something that's a problem,
It's
or something you didn't like.
unknown.
I mean,
It's always the unknown.
it's a matter of accepting it, really. I mean, accepting it as reality. I mean, like, when I say it doesn't matter, it really doesn't, whether it's good or bad or ugly. It just depends on how you deal with it. You know what I mean? Are you going to be part of the problem or part of the answer?
In a
I
sense,
mean, to anything.
you shift your perception, let's say. You are changing, you are affecting the object of your observation. So you are changing the situation too, in a
Yeah.
sense.
And another thing, and I mean, I people don't often like this, but sometimes there'll be something that happens, and people have issue with it, or find it like not a good situation, and they might find me laughing, you know, and they'll think, well, how can you laugh at a situation like this? And it's like, well, why wouldn't you? I mean, the thing is this, laugh, the old saying goes, laughter is medicine.
Yeah,
Sometimes you can actually laugh something off. You can just laugh it off. You know what I mean? Until it's
yeah,
gone. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
I
But
love
anyway, I
laughing
mean, you can't live
therapy.
your life all like,
Have you did
hey,
have you did laughing therapy? It's very funny.
laughing therapy.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just,
it's working
I
on you
just,
now.
I just did one session in a Zen festival once, but it's very nice,
Yeah,
very and now I have a virtual friend that she does laughing therapy,
yeah,
and it's very interesting because even when you don't feel like laughing, after a while you start laughing because it's unstoppable.
It's funny when you're younger, you don't get this. When you get a bit older, you don't tend to get this much. But I remember being a teenager or even younger than that, and something would be so funny, like you'd be with your friends, and something would be so funny that you start crying.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that belly laugh.
and
I
that's
mean, how good does that feel to go through it? But how many adults, how many adults have that happen anymore? You know what I mean? Where they're crying and they're laughing so much,
yes,
I mean, it's sad that people don't, I don't know, people get older, they just don't do it. And it's like, it's good,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like to laugh that much. I
yeah.
mean, like,
That's what I'm doing the Joy Lab, which is
Joy Lab, yeah.
yeah, it's because I feel that even if it's just for a while, that I can put someone smiling or feeling a little bit joyful. It's not that I will put, but in the sense I share different techniques or things that I do, and maybe for some people they resonate, and that may that
Well, I
brings me
resonated. The
joy. That brings me joy.
first time I ever saw you, and I'm trying to recall how I even come across you, but I saw a video. The first time I saw you, you're doing a video,
Yeah,
and you
that's
were
the
dancing.
invitation. Yeah,
Yeah, but one of the things that really struck me as something that stood out in the video was you did this thing with your hands where you took your and you put it into your heart
yeah,
like this.
yeah,
You put it into your heart. Yeah, that was really cool.
yeah,
Yeah, that was really cool.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
you were speaking uh, like some minutes ago, and I was starting to weave when I'm feeling the energy very strong, I feel like woo, weaving and yeah. So I'm very grateful
Um,
for
let's get on
this.
a magic carpet.
I'm so grateful for this, and
Oh, look, I enjoy talking with you. I mean, because I find so I don't normally I don't do this. This is actually the first time or second time I've ever done this with anybody. Because I don't I started watching Todd Medina a couple of for 2 weeks now, and I said to you, I actually he was doing an interview and I had a couple of questions and he read them out and they took it personally as I was talking about them and I wasn't, but they couldn't answer the questions, right? Anyway, then all of a sudden I get a friend request from Todd, because I was following him, but I wasn't friends. And I got a friend request, so I accepted it. And he asked me some questions, and look, what I'm getting at here is that um, one of my questions to Todd was, and I wasn't talking about him, but people do live videos all the time, Facebook, that you watch them and stuff like this. But one thing that I noticed with certain individuals, anyway, it's like this is there's this sense of like needing attention. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying this to you for is that the reason that I'm talking to you in one of these meeting Zoom things is because I don't get that from you. I know you do a lot, regularly, but I know that you're not doing it for attention, and it makes a big difference to me because I know the difference. You know what I mean? And the question to Todd was simply that, like, do you have any thoughts on the fact that people that do live interviews on Facebook are doing it because they need attention? And this is a question that they couldn't really answer. But the thing is that I wasn't talking about him because I like him. You know what I mean? And he wants to talk to me as well. But the thing is, I would not talk openly on a meeting like this with somebody that I thought was like needing attention. You know what I'm saying? So this is why I don't do this. because like a lot of people are on Facebook because they need attention. You know what I mean? I'm just saying that I know that you don't. You know what I mean? This is why I'm talking to you because we can enjoy our conversation because there's no yeah, you know what I'm saying. I pick up nothing about you that you're doing any of this for attention. You know what I mean? I think you really enjoy what
Let's
you're doing. I
say
think that you
let's say that it's not easy to. I can imagine someone like Todd that he has like 20 something thousand persons following him, or
30,000, yeah.
yeah, or other persons, and it's not easy to keep that balance uh, because I can
I,
imagine that
I,
there
I know
is
exactly
that
what you're
part,
saying.
there is that part of us, the ego, let's
Yeah.
say, that so it's always
Mm.
a challenge and a learning and a new expansion to keep in that balance and ask yourself like, am I doing this because I'm needing attention? But at the same time, I feel right now that is like whatever we are choosing to do, even if we are searching for attention, or because we you spoke about pure intention and
Yeah.
pure intention would be, yeah, we are just doing because this brings me joy and this is my
Yeah. Mm.
where I feel that I'm expanding more. But at the same time, even if there are other reasons, because people are doing things, they are working in different frequencies, so they are reaching different persons, which some will be in the same frequency, and which, if they watch me, maybe they don't see any sense in what I'm saying, something like this. I was trying to get the message from the the totality. Yeah, that's what it
Yeah, the
was
thing I
for
wanted
me.
to mention before, Anna, was that I have issue with people that talk about like some other people like low vibration, this sort of talk. And I think I brought this up with you the other week. It's like it doesn't matter like because somebody is moving through life slower, you know what I mean, and not vibing as much because what does that make them less important?
Yeah,
Of course it doesn't.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It doesn't at all. And I find that anybody that talks about somebody else as being low vibration, and I'm not saying you said this, but like some people like say straight out, oh, that person's low vibration or dense, but whatever. And I say to myself, well, that's a big judgment. Like, what are you saying that you're better? You're in a better position. You're making a judgment on their low vibration. So you're saying that you're high vibration. I mean,
yeah.
I just
I
find
was
that sort of
referring
very
to
that's a lot of
frequencies.
ego there.
Not
There's a lot
not
of ego.
high or
Yeah.
low, different frequencies, yeah, different frequencies.
Because I brought up with you the other day about my brother. And my brother, like, he's a hard-working family man. He comes home from work and he falls asleep on the couch because he's tired from working hard. And what I'm saying to you is that people could like talk to him in the evening and think that he's like low vibration. But it's not even a case of that. It's just a case of like, he's doing the best he can for his family. But the thing is like doesn't make, him less important than anybody else.
No, no,
You know what I mean? Because he gets worn out. And people like look at someone who's getting worn out as like, great, mate. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that what I'm saying. See, I'm retired. I can do whatever I want. I obviously enjoy my life, and that can bring up my energy levels because I do what I enjoy. But some other people have got to go to a job that they don't enjoy. They have to
yeah,
to provide for their family, whatever.
yeah,
So it could lower their energy levels. But look, what I'm saying is that why would you place judgment on them for their low vibration? You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's like
yeah. But
leave
for
him just
maybe
alone. The guys will,
maybe for some people
and look,
that is
yeah, and
not
some people that are like,
let's say that
I mean,
uh, for
some people that are working hard, some people that are working hard and get tired and seem like they've got a lower vibration because they're actually worn out, are actually doing more for other people than someone that's sitting there saying that they're, part of a high vibe club. You know what I mean?
what you know
You
what
know
I
what I mean?
what I feel is like even this concept. First, I don't see this concept low or high vibration. I understand that people use these words, but for me, is at at every now we are operating for from a different frequency and
Yeah,
so
that is true.
even that is not stable, you know. Someone
Yeah,
is
of
not
course not.
always operating in the same frequency. So
It's
before
done.
I start these conversations, I try always to detach from what all these parts of myself that I know that still exist, like the ego or trying to to please people or try. So I try to I connect. I put my feet on the ground and I connect with the energy of the planet
Yeah,
because for me it's very powerful.
yeah,
And then I
yeah,
try to be and I say always like in for myself for the best outcome for the all. Um, but that came to me as a I access this information that if I do this, then I can actually hear you properly and honor your truth
but yeah, I know
and
what you're saying. You're not
but not all the
you're not
people
bringing.
feel this. They see more
Yeah, that's
like
right. You're not yeah, you're preparing yourself in a way for whatever could happen because see, some people could like come to a conversation and bring to the conversation like things like preconceived ideas of like how this is even going to go. I mean, like people actually imagine like if you're going to talk with somebody, people start to imagine what you're even going to talk about,
yeah
and at the end of the day, again, it's like a fear of like needing to control something. You know, what I mean, like you said to me like and you mentioned it often about like just free, the conversation being a what do you refer to it as, like a free flowing, go creating conversation. Now, a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't understand you can even do that because they would say, "Well, what are you going to talk about?"
yeah
Well, again, that you can't even say that because if you say that, you actually you're already stopping that happening by saying, "What are you going to talk about?" It's not. It's knowing that you don't know what you're going to talk about. And the thing is like even when you start to imagine like any ideas about what you might want to talk about, when you know that ultimately it's going to be just an open conversation, then you get to the point where you're ready to start talking, and you realize that it's going to be okay because a lot of people get scared like to have a conversation to the public, for like where there's no script, you know. I mean, like, you're just gonna like see what happens, like see a lot of people can't do that, you know what I mean? Because they get scared. Because they get scared they might say something that they don't want to say. You know what I mean? Like something that might just come out of their mouth that they regret.
yeah
Yeah, but at the end of the day, why would you be scared of that anyway? It might be a good thing for you to do that, you know?
it's because for some people it's still maybe those people are not as afraid of other things that maybe we still are. I don't know because each one of us we have our yeah. I love this idea. The our
Yeah.
own world. We are a world, and so yeah. For but
I mean, how many
always
people, like, it's like,
for me this is a challenge and learning. So actually I'm learning when I do this.
yeah, but it's going back to when I said to you about, where does an idea or a thought come from? Like, if you're allowing the conversation to be an open conversation, open discussion, or open ended conversation, well, things are going to come to your mind that you don't normally think about. You know what I mean? Like, but like at the end of the day, it's got to be all good. I mean, like it's all positive because it's like you don't. Well, I know in the last nearly 2 hours that we've spoken, like anything that's come to my mind that's come out of the blue, it's actually been quite thoughtful and inspiring. The thoughts, it's not like there's not been something that's worried me that I thought, I mean, nothing's come up that's worried me. It's just like, and why I said to you about like having 7 hour conversations, because if you allow yourself just to let go and just have an open discussion and see where it goes, it's quite endless, I mean, it is literally, it has no timing on it, does it?
Yeah.
And in saying that, maybe maybe we should maybe maybe we should.
Yeah,
I've got a
we
I've got
have
a,
two
I've got
hours.
a friend coming around in 10 minutes, so maybe we
We have
should
2 hours.
maybe yeah. What time is it there?
Almost 11 p.m. Yeah. Yeah, we are
It's past
speaking
your
for
bedtime.
2 hours. Yeah. It was great, Gary. I'm so grateful. And we have Ricardo still with us, I think. He says, up is not better than down. We need our head and our feet together. Yeah, I like this, Ricardo. Yeah, I
Yeah.
invited Ricardo to join us in one me in conversation in
I got to
Portuguese.
say something to you as well. And in the last few weeks that we've been speaking, it's funny because I've ended up with two or three or four new friends that
Yeah,
that are your friends. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so it's really interesting, huh?
yeah. That
Yeah,
happens
it's
to
a
me
really
too.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah. A couple of friends from Portugal. But yeah, oh good, oh good.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
So now I
super
got now
grateful.
I've got I can gossip about you to your friends now, so it's gonna be great. So
Yeah,
all right, I'm gonna say goodbye and
yeah,
look forward to talking to you when I talk to you again. I'll look at you when I'll see you when I'm looking at you.
yeah. Me too, me too. And I'm very grateful for all joining this now and for being here with us, Ricardo. And we have, I don't know if she's still here, Maria Nobre, Ana Júlia, Kari Guevara Pollock, and also Rui Magina, and Teresa Maloff, Paula Pereira, João Gonçalo Fonseca,
Regina,
uh,
what's Regina's last name?
not Regina, Karina Guevara Pollock,
Oh, I
Richard
got a friend.
Vilfana. I don't know if they are still with us, but anyways,
Yeah,
I'm acknowledging them. Teresa Malov and Paula Pereira and João Gonçalo Fonseca, Paula Saramago, Esther Rodrigues, David Saavedra, that's me, Pamela, Ellie Ray, Maria Gabriela Lourenço, and all that have and will be joining this now. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful, joyful, and grateful and joyful for you being here with me
sweet
today.
dreams, Anna.
Yeah, sweet
Sweet
dreams.
dreams.
Yeah, and have a wonderful day and now and yeah,
Well, I don't
see you
need to do
soon.
any more talking now.
I
I've
hope
done enough talking.
I hope we do another one soon. Let's see what
Yeah,
will
of course.
unfold.
Look,
Yeah, yeah.
look like
And
Oh,
I hope Ricardo join me too.
yeah,
He
yeah.
says
Let's talk to
he'll.
Ricardo. He seems like a cool guy.
Yeah, he says nice talk and he love it. Thank you so much, Ricardo. And yeah, see you soon. Good night. Good
See ya.
now.
See you, mate.
Infinito all.
Bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye. So I'm
See you. See you, Anna. Bye.
yeah. Bye bye. Bye bye. I'll sending you the recording when we. I'm just stopping the live.
See you, mate.